And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Mario Loya Show podcast. Today is July 5th, Monday. Hopefully, you guys had a great holiday weekend. I was busy working pretty much the whole weekend. But oh well. That's just comes with adulting, I suppose. Yes. Working on holidays. Hopefully, this is my last holiday I would have to work at my current job. But if not, it's okay too. It's not an awful job. It's not a bad job. But here we are. Welcome back to the show. Um, Today's show is kind of looking over it. It's a pretty light showing. I was thinking about whether or not to make my picks for UFC 264 this weekend. McGregor versus Poirier 3. But I'll hold on off on it. I'll do show probably either I want to say Thursday or Friday, and there I'll make my official picks for that fight card. And yeah, but there's still a little bit to talk about in terms of UFC. It's a light weekend. It's a light week overall. These hot summer months brings little news all across the board in terms of from all sports really. There's really nothing. Also pretty light in the gaming news as well, but we'll make it happen. We'll see what we'll get into. We'll see where my brain goes to a little bit, but nonetheless, there's some things to talk about. So we'll start off where we kind of always start off with, and that's in the fighting world. Well, what do you guys want to do? Fighting first or NFL? Let me look at the NFL topics real quick. Let's just do the fighting first. We'll get that out of the way. So last week we didn't really have an idea who. Well, we had an idea, but we didn't have an official who was gonna replace um, and step in and fight Sugar Sean O'Malley. There was a lot of guys who stepped up, and unfortunately, there wasn't any really one of those guys who we kind of wanted Sugar Sean O'Malley to fight. Got named the person who's gonna fight Sugar Sean O'Malley to open up UFC 264 uh, fight card. Um, Main fight card is going to be a guy named Chris Montano, and I, I don't know how I feel about this. Good job by Chris to stepping up and fighting Sean. But just this is a guy who I haven't really heard of. He has a 9-4 record. Sean's gonna have a 3-inch reach advantage or height advantage on him, and his reach is gonna be 5 inches. And those are the kind of guys that Sean really beats up. He struggles with the guys who are similar in size as he is. Whenever he fought Chito Vera, he struggled quite a bit against him, fighting his range and whatnot. So these are the guys that Sean is really good at beating up these smaller bantamweights. And Sean's a huge, huge bantamweight. He's a monster actually at that weight division with his height and reach. So okay, this is a fight that it's still gonna be a Sugar Sean fight. He's still gonna be fighting, so he's gonna do some crazy ass shit, and I like Sugar Sean O'Malley. However, the UFC has this narrative of you come to UFC and it's balls to the wall. You're gonna fight the very best of the best. We don't do warm up fights, and it's kind of hard to agree with that, or it's kind of hard to say that whenever you have a guy like Sugar Sean O'Malley, who you're obviously grooming him to become a star here at the UFC, because you're giving him kind of these fights against. I think Sugar Sean O'Malley should already be fighting top 50 guys. The last guy you gave him who was up there was Chito Vera, and controversial stoppage, whatever, because of Sean O'Malley got injured, but Chito Vera was the one who injured him. Chito Vera was the one who did that to him. Regardless, so it's really hard to agree with that narrative of you come to the UFC and you're gonna fight murderers row of guys, and it's hard to agree with that. It's hard to say sometimes for some people it is, for other people it's not really. If you go on to Dana White's UFC Contender Series and you kind of look like you're a star and you're super young, we'll give you some time to definitely build yourself and see how much money we can squeeze out of you. But that's my opinion on it. So anytime people kind of bring up UFC, we don't give tune-up fights. Bring up Sugar Sean O'Malley. That's what I have to say about that. And so there's that fight. Obviously I'll make my predictions next time. I didn't want to dive too deep into these fight cards right now. But an interesting topic that I found that I saw was Stephen Wonderboy Thompson had an interview. I can't remember with who. I just saw this kind of on my feed whenever I was scrolling, and he made a very good, interesting point. I would say. He kind of said, okay, talking about Kamaru Usman, the UFC welterweight champion, being the breaks off for everybody, and he said, what, he's fought everybody already. He's starting to lap guys already. He's beaten Colby Covington. He broke his jaw and he stopped him. Whether you want to say controversial or not, he stopped him regardless. He dominated Jorge Masvidal the first time he fought him, 5 rounds, and then he came out and he knocked out Jorge Masvidal. A guy who's never been knocked out. And he knocked out his teammate Gilbert Burns. So it's just like he's from his words, he said, "I'm the last man standing." He hasn't fought me yet. And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I was thinking about that, and I was just like, because Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's a fucking beast at 170. He's super huge, and he's not easy to take down either. Whenever he fought Tyron Woodley a couple of years back, Tyron Woodley had problems bringing him down, and but Kamaru Usman's a whole different animal. If Kamaru Usman wants you on the ground, if your name's not Colby Covington, I would say that you're gonna have a long day. Against Kamaru Usman, and I would like to see that fight, and it's going to be a very, very interesting co-main event. And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is one of my favorite fighters, and I would love to see him one day capture the gold. But it's just hard to say. He's getting up there in age. It's hard to say. He's 38 right now. But obviously he's a beast he's a gorilla at 170. He's 6 foot. With a 75-inch. Why is there banging? I think it's my dog. Let me go see. I'll be back. Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, it was my dog. Anytime I freaking have the door closed, she always wants in. Like, now she's wanting out of the room. I'm like, I need this door closed to get the best sound possible. Can you please just not be so clingy for like an hour? Okay, she's laid down. Good. Hopefully she doesn't start snoring, because you guys obviously hear that. But yeah, so we're talking about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and he is a gorilla at this weight division, and I would love to see him fight Kamaru Usman. If he gets past Gilbert Burns, damn, it's just like I want to, because Rocky obviously deserves a title shot as well, and man, it will suck if he gets skipped over one more time, but I mean, the UFC, that's a good problem for the UFC to have, obviously, there. And also, if Colby Covington messes around and doesn't really wants to, ask for more money, they might say, you know what, go ahead and wait about that. Go ahead and think about that while we go make the Leon Edwards fight, versus Kamaru Usman. And maybe you'll be next after him. And if you still want to mess around, we have, if Stephen Wonderboy Thompson gets past Gilbert Burns, we have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson next. So, you're talking about, possibly a year and a half, maybe, if things go bad, of not seeing Colby Covington fight starting now. But we'll see. We will see. Dana White has already said that he's next. I would love to see that fight as well. Over all 3 of those fights for Kamaru Usman, I would love to see Colby Covington fight Kamaru Usman the most, because you're gonna get everything. You're gonna get the trash talking. You're gonna get the cringiness. Both those guys absolutely hate each other, and it's the with him and with Kamaru and Jorge Masvidal, we all knew that Kamaru Usman was the much better fighter. But it was still very entertaining to see. There was a chance that Jorge would knock him out. But with Colby Covington, you don't know. I mean, you really don't know. That first fight was close. It's the fight that gave Kamaru Usman the most trouble out of any fights I've seen him fight. But we'll see. All 3 of those guys deserve a title shot. But we'll see what happens. So there's that. What else is there? Wonder Boy. That's all pretty much for the UFC stuff. Very light stuff. Nothing much going on right now. No fight card, nothing like that this weekend because of the holiday. But we'll go ahead and we'll transition into the rest of the show. And the rest of the show it's kind of a negative show because there's a lot of controversies. Gaming controversies and MLB stuff going on, um, and also NFL related. So I guess we'll start off with one of those right now, and it's the Washington football team fined $10 million and Daniel Snyder off day-to-day tasks. And I think it's his daughter who's going to be taking over the responsibility of running the team. Um, and I've seen a lot of negative news stories how the went ahead and handled it. So I think people were kind of expecting him to be forced to sell a team, much like the Clippers owner a couple years back was forced to sell his team. But he got to keep his team, and he basically just the NFL kind of said, go to the shadows. Go to the shadows. That's the only way you're going to keep your team, and that's kind of what Daniel Snyder did. I think the NFL would have to drag Daniel Snyder out, kicking and screaming, along with all of his lawyers, in order to get him to sell the team. He's one of those guys that's what you're gonna have to do. I feel like so this is kind of their best thing to kind of sweep it under the rug. I believe here's one article I brought up from the Washington Post by Sally Jenkins, and it gets pretty heated. The so-called investigation report on the nasty skirt clutching culture inside the Washington Post and made it all right by Tanya Snyder, the mop and broom. Great. That's the perfect NFL solution, isn't it? Just to turn to a wife and say, "Here you go, clean it up." That's she makes a point there. And I can see what she's trying to do there in the play of finding a woman, clean this up, and I get what she's doing there. Nothing against Mrs. Snyder, who is sure to do a far more professional job overseeing the business operation of the Washington football team than Twerk, who has run it like a beer slopping stage. Yeah, she goes pretty hard in this article. As you read the NFL statement on mouth-long investigation of Daniel Snyder of an office, you can almost feel Commissioner Roger Goodell and his legal eagle admiring their to work as they step around the sleaze puddles. Wow, very heated stuff, and people for this they really atrocious. That isn't allowed where you are no matter what. That's easy. And see, I would agree, though this is kind of having fell, and they did deserve it. It's just, yeah, it's tough things to say because at the NFL side, be playing devil's advocate, it's just we have to hide as much stuff. We want to hurry up and get past this. We don't want to. This could obviously be made much worse if they would say to force Daniel Snyder to sell the team. You want to talk about a legal battle. You're going to talk about stuff between, much like them against Al Davis. Very public stuff in in courts for years and years to come. And that's not. I don't think the NFL wants that bad PA as much as this bad PA is coming out forth, and it very much ties the NFL's hands in the sense of what to do. Um, I think they said, here's a pretty big, substantial fine. And Daniel Snyder, you have to go in the shadows. We're probably going to face a backlash, but, here in a week or two, maybe all this will go away. And it's just, I honestly don't know if I was in their shoes, what I would do. I was like putting myself in other people's shoes and thinking, looking at it literally from their perspective. Force Daniel Snyder to sell a team. It's gonna bring a lot of it's gonna bring up a lot of shit. And if we kind of do this round, we're gonna face some backlash. But I don't even know when they released this thing. It might have been like one of those news dumps on a weekend, on a holiday weekend at that. So, that's just the business the NFL is in, covering up a lot of things, doing a news dump. But that's with a lot of organizations. That's with a lot of companies. That's with a lot of different things. So it's unfortunate, but they did respond. But whatever their investigation revealed or whatever, they don't look good whatsoever, and it's a mess. But I'm not. I really don't like talking about this stuff too much. It's very uncomfortable, and it's not the stuff I enjoy talking about. But nonetheless, it's something that does deserve to be to have a conversation of, and hopefully those ladies who were the victims of sexual assault get their justice. And um, that's all I can say pretty much about it. That, however, isn't the only kind of scandal or things people feel the NFL is wrongly doing either. I found this article, not article, but this kind of topic. Eugene Chuney, I'm awful with names, guys. Claims the NFL used discrimination in his interview. So I believe he was interviewing for a couple of head coaching vacancies this offseason. And the NFL has a Rooney Rule. So the Rooney Rule requires you, whenever you have a head coach availability, required to interview one minority owner. And this kind of more pertains towards, one minority coach, not owner. And this kind of more pertains to the lack of African American head coaches in the NFL. And this was kind of to the rule. I don't really like the rule, but I agree there should be more African American coaches being head coaches. But I don't think that's. It's just like, because a lot of teams don't really have a head coach. They pretty much have an idea who they want to be their head coach. And so doing interviews is just like, it's almost a waste of time for the candidate. Definitely. It's just, and it's almost like it's a sympathy kind of interview, I would say. If I would go into if I was an African American head coach looking for a head coaching job, and rumors have already swirled that this team is going to hire this guy, but they need to follow the Rooney rules, so they're going to give me an interview, knowing full well that I am not going to get that job, would I still interview? And people would say yes, I would still interview, because it brings clout. Maybe you might put your name out there, definitely. And maybe if things don't work out with that head coach, you may blow them away, and they'd be like, what, we had an interview with that one guy a couple of years ago, before we hired this guy, and let's interview him again, and let's see, we really like him. Maybe we should pull the trigger back then. And so there's that. But then there's also the fact that it's almost like you're giving me the sympathy interview for a job that I'm not going to get. So you know what? I have far too much respect for myself to kind of play this stupid little game. So I'm not going to interview for this. And yeah, so I would have to. Dang, so complicated. So complicated. Such a hairy topic. But I would still interview, of course, because getting your name out there and building relationships is the number one thing of any job. Is to build your name and to build relationships. So I would still do it. It's just, yeah, you're just gonna have to go and waste your time pretty much there for a little bit. It's just foundation building pretty much on your career. But here, going back to the story, Eugene Chuney claims that in his interview, they said he wasn't the right minority. And I don't know how the Rooney Rule is worded. I don't know if you have to interview one African American in order to meet the rule, or if you have to just interview one minority coach. And I honestly thought it was just one minority coach. So if you interview, say, an Asian American coach, that would be the Rooney Rule standards. I don't know if it's worded African American or whatever. I honestly thought that it was interview one minority coach. But, he doesn't want to kind of really give which team it was who said that. Doesn't want to mess up relationships. But it's just like, okay, man, it's almost like that anonymous player said, they don't like the coach. The anonymous player said there's some things that are um, happening, and I don't feel like it's just, or I don't want to put my name on stuff like this. It's almost like that in the sense because he doesn't want to out the team who said this, and then they're gonna have a great big old and damage relationships there with that team. Never know. Maybe he might coach there one day, and but it's just like stuff like this isn't really gonna change until you kind of hold people accountable and really almost publicly shame people who say this, who do this, and whoever said this, whoever gave him his interview, whichever team did this, said these words, is probably still going to do it because they can almost get away with it. That's how I almost feel about it. So, but who knows? Maybe they read this and be like, oh man, this is kind of coming to light. I shouldn't be acting like this. I shouldn't be saying these words. But nonetheless, yeah, well, I'm telling you guys, this week there's kind of a lot of scandals, and I didn't mean to put them in there. It's just what kind of it's out there right now. Yeah. More NFL news. Hard Knocks to feature the Dallas Cowboys. And how do I feel about this? Obviously the Cow is gonna. Anytime you can get the Cowboys, people are gonna fucking watch. Regardless of if they have a good team or not. And and you're also going into Jerry's world, and he also loves the publicity. He loves any publicity, pretty much. And he likes being the center of attention all the time. And a lot of people are gonna watch it. A lot of people are gonna watch it because they're gonna be, hey, you know what? My team, the Cowboys, we're gonna get to watch them practice. We're gonna get to watch people who want to be Cowboys getting cut and say no. Getting be told, hey, you're not good enough to be a Dallas Cowboy. Go be a freaking New York Giant. Go be a Houston Texan. Stuff like that. Man, yeah, let's go watch it, bro. I'm not the biggest Hard Knocks fan. Last year's Hard Knocks was atrocious, horrible, so boring. If there's no preseason games, man, it was so boring. And they covered two teams. They covered the Rams and the Chargers last year, and it was still boring. I get it was COVID year and stuff like this, but it was just. It was so boring just watching these guys practice, not ever getting into a preseason game. Yeah, and usually I like Hard Knocks. Some years are obviously better than others. Last year's was pretty bad, and hopefully this year, with preseason games coming back, that it becomes back to what Hard Knocks once was, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely am. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Those things are always fantastically put together. So shout out to HBO and shout out to the Hard Knocks team. And I honestly thought that, man, I would like to see my team, the Pittsburgh Steelers being in it. But it's hard to kind of turn down the Dallas Cowboys because the ratings are going to be off the hook. You got Dak Prescott coming back. Ezekiel Elliott. Running around with his shirt off. This defense. Jerry Jones is going to be on pretty much every single goddamn episode. Mike McCarthy. He's kind of on the hot seat a little bit this year. So great. If I think it was the best choice for them, definitely. So yeah, shout out to Hard Knocks. Looking forward to that episode. A little bit more NFL news. NFL's Josh Gordon files for reinstatement, and it's just like he's been suspended so many times. Like he doesn't get it. It doesn't get through to this guy. Even he's obviously not in his athletic prime anymore. He's kind of further back. But back whenever he was on the Browns, whenever the Browns stunk, this guy he didn't care. This guy was balling out. With Colt McCoy, with Brian Hoyer. These kind of backup guys, and he was balling out. He was still getting his touches, still getting his yards, but he just couldn't stay off of the weed. He couldn't behave himself. You know, the best ability is availability, and he wasn't available. Or you always have to worry about the guy. You always have to worry about, man, laying in bed. I wonder what Josh Gordon's doing right now. If I'm a coach, I'm coaching Josh Gordon. I wonder what he's doing. I wonder. I hope he's behaving himself. And then you wake up and then random drug tests come up and he fails. He's suspended again. I don't know. It's just it, who's he even gonna go to? Who's he even gonna go to? The Seahawks again? Mm, maybe, but it's just I don't even know. It's just like at the end of the day, you're gonna run out of chances, and maybe he's already run out of chances. Maybe once ever um, if they let him back into the league, no team gives him a ring, and that's whenever that you kind of always hear the stories that people asking former players, when did you know that it was over for you? When did you know that you were gonna retire? And I'll say, well, it's whenever teams stop calling. You don't retire from the NFL. The NFL retires you. And who knows if that time has come for Josh Gordon? Who knows? But he's been a guy who's been notably you can't count on the guy. Notably, you can't count on the guy. So it's hard to build an offense with a guy who you can't count on. Yeah, we'll see what happens. If I was a team, I would stay 10 feet away from Josh Gordon. Definitely. Maybe if he was back in his athletic prime, back whenever he was balling ridiculously, I would give him a ring and say, you know what, we're gonna fucking have the Secret Service follow you around, my man. We're gonna, do X, Y, and Z, and if you want to be on this team. But now it's just like there's a lot of options out there. But I don't know. Those are what NFL teams think about him. But that's my sense on it. I would stay away from Josh Gordon. Definitely, I would stay away. The other news was Demaryius Thomas retirement from the NFL. And I was kind of, again, going through my feed. That's kind of where I find some of my topics or just like new stuff. And how would I feel about Demaryius Thomas? Obviously, he had a great career. And the video I saw was Peyton Manning congratulating him on that. And Peyton Manning saying his nice words. He didn't say much. He just said, yeah, congratulations, my friend. You were a great teammate, great player. You work hard, you're athletic. The Peyton Manning speech, and obviously Demaryius Thomas loved that. It was a legendary quarterback saying great things about you, congratulating you on your career. And he did have he at one point in time, him and Emmanuel Sanders there in Denver were considered possibly as being the best wide receiving tandem in the NFL. And he was a motherfucker. He was feared in the NFL. Him coming across the he was an athletic freak. He wasn't quite the size of like a Julio Jones. He didn't have athleticism to do some things that Julio Jones could do, but he was still a fantastic wide receiver in SAD. Fantastic wide receiver. And of course, anytime somebody retires, it's like, oh, is he a Hall of Famer? Is he a Hall of Famer? And the problem with the wide receiver position is that it's so crowded in that position. You have guys like Hines Ward who aren't in the Hall of Fame yet because that position is so crowded. And the guy who retired as well this offseason, Julian Edelman. People say, is he a Hall of Famer? And anybody who isn't in the region of Boston would say, no, he's not. He doesn't have the stats. And I would agree with him. He's in the Hall of Famer. And Demaryius Thomas, hard to say as well. Maybe one day, whenever he, of course, not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but fucking Terrell wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he was like second on a lot of those all-time leaders lists on it. But maybe one day, hopefully, I'll see guys getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. It's very, very cool. And Demaryius Thomas, he was a great player. He kind of kept it. Went to work. You don't really hear too much about him. But congratulations on his career, and we'll see what the future holds for him. Hopefully, he does great things after football, and hopefully, he stays around football because you need good guys like him around the around the game. And yeah, and I love it. Love it. Congratulations to Meredith Thomas. And we have one. That's it for baseball stuff or baseball football stuff. But we do have one baseball topic, and it's another controversy. It's another one of these uncomfortable topics, but we got to cover them. We do. So Trevor Bauer placed on leave amid sexual assault claim. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, I just want to just like I want information on this. So here's a news story from ESPN of Gonzalez. So he writes, the Los Angeles Dodgers starting pitcher Trevor was placed on 7 Major League Baseball on Friday. Decision to start for July in Washington D.C. And it says, I of sexual has declined to the end. And where he's placed on these one thing I do know off the top is that even though you're removed from media, still get beat. So there's that. And they kind of write this side. We reaffirm our original statement and refute allegations of, in the strongest possible terms, Bauer's Fitzgerald and Luba said in a statement, Mr. Bauer will not appeal MLB's decision placed on administrative leave at this time in an effort to minimize any distractions to the Dodgers organizations and to his teammates. And I think that also has an option to extend it a week, so the amount of All-Star break as well, making him not available. And I know they want to speak with the young lady who made these allegations and these charges against Trevor. But also, for any of this, I believe this has been accused by a woman of choking her and consciousness on multiple occasions, punching her in several areas of her body with injuries that are relation to sexual encounter earlier this year, restraining filed in the LA County Superior Court this week, which were obtained by ESPN Wednesday. And it continues, asking the courts to issue a no-contact order that would prevent Bauer from charged from this woman, a 27-year-old who resides in San Diego. Details of sexual encounters with Bauer and have 2 black eye scratches on her face, bruises, and cuts on her lips. The alleged incident took place at Bauer's home in California on April 21st and May 16th. April 21st. We are in July. MLB. And we are being investigated by local police departments. This is continuing on from the article. The restraining order was executed as a temporary which can be achieved inputs from the other party. Yeah, so obviously, whenever they got the restraining order on Trevor Bauer, he defended himself in this program. It's just something that they went ahead and did. And it says Bauer had plans to deny accounts during July 23rd later on this month. Tells his representatives. On Tuesday, those representatives issued a statement denying that Bauer had assaulted this woman on alligators wholly consensual. Well, when it's kind of wholly consensual, I don't think she considered, her ending up with bruises on her lips. I don't think that was consensual. The following day, by a series of text messages that showed the woman inviting rough sex and how she wants him to give me all the pain and to choke me out. Like I said, see that, but nowhere there does she say, punch me in the face, give me black eyes, and who knows how, proven or innocent until proven guilty. But yeah, like she may be inviting these rough sexual encounters, but it's nothing like I want you to choke me out Okay, between the lines. That doesn't mean make me go unconscious. No, that means, you know what, choke me a little bit, have it a little rough, slap me times, but it's nothing like give me some black eye on what she wrote. No, make me go to a hospital isn't what she wrote. Here's what the Dodgers wrote. Dan Caston told reporters Friday that he trusted investigation being conducted by the commissioner's office. Apparently, there's plenty more information that I have not been told and privy to that I do not know anything about. Caston said during the team's visit to the White House in celebration of winning the 2020 World Series, and I'm going to wait until all of the facts gathering is complete. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts dismissed concerns alleged assault could negatively impact the team. There's a lot of things that take place. This is what he's a lot of things that take place that are outside of his control. Robert said, I think that for us to stay together and focus on winning baseball games, nothing's going to change that. Like I said, you guys, this show littered with controversy, littered with fucking allegations and not stuff to talk about. And my problem is, why is this barely getting on the MLB's desk right now? Why is it investigated right now? These sports organizations want to, hold their players accountable. It's like, look at this restraining order filed April 21st, I believe, or was that whenever the incidents occurred? And it's barely getting investigated now by MLB. Barely now. It's just like, hey, I don't know if you guys know about this or not, but there's going to be a hearing for Trevor Bauer, and he's going to make a start on July 4th in Washington, D.C., and he's going to court over, beating up a girl, alleged. We'll get on that. And I understand that, MLB isn't babysitting guy, but whenever you want to be the, I don't really know too many jobs where you get in trouble or it's as much as you do for things off the field, for actions off the field. Your work, if you work in a job that requires you to be felony free, yeah, of course they're gonna, find that out and fire you. But it's just like, you want to play police officer, but you don't want to do all the things that are required of you. You don't want to stay on top of this stuff. And it's just like, it just took so long for them to come out and finally say, we're going to do this. Why barely now? Why barely now? Why barely now are you going to do this? You want to, maybe you should start playing code a little bit earlier than, I don't know. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I don't even want to predict what's going to happen. Who knows? But hopefully, whatever did happen was right. And yeah, this stuff isn't fun talking about. It really isn't. Really isn't. I think we finally get into gaming stuff. Yay, gaming stuff. Excuse me. And we have one more controversy to talk about. Microsoft side. And it's nothing like, sexual stuff that we just talked about with the NFL, with the Washington football team. You need to fucking find your name, change your name already, goddammit. And, then we'll be with Trevor Bauer. This is Microsoft to Xbox card. And even if you are a big company, I just take your stuff. And the question is, because the person who did was in charge, had a very crucial role with the Xbox store and Microsoft store, and he took quite a bit of stuff. So here's an article that I found was pretty good. It's from GameSpot and by Darian Bontu. Yeah, so go ahead and if you want to read the whole article, you can go ahead and go to GameSpot. and it's very good. So a Bloomberg denied detailed how engineer, now his name, but not crazy, Voldemir. I believe it's Voldemir. You cannot believe that. His name, his last name is Kivasuk. Kivasuk managed to steal $1 million from Microsoft before he was eventually busted. It was a perfect time. An employee of Microsoft who was tasked with setting purchases on the company's Kivasuk, Voldemir, discovered that whenever he tested purchases of he would receive real codes. Voldemir started small, generating cards in increments from 10 to 1 while working his day job of prevent the online store from being fake purchases of physical goods, recruiting a few co-workers to help him in the scheme, and using multiple profiles while routing his in Japan and Russia. Voldemir would generate thousands of dollars worth of gift cards and then sell them online for up to 50% off. Wow. And right here, Voldemir went as far. They say his last name. I can't fucking say his last name. I'd rather say Voldemir. That's his fucking name. Went so far as to build a computer program to increase the speed at which he bought gift cards, selling them in bulk on the marketplace. Wow. One trader reported to have paid Voldemir 1.89 bitcoins, then worth 7,143 Xbox cards. Yeah, so I guess this is not fucking black market shit. I don't even know. It kind of says, well, mention like that. And it says, Voldemir fired. They launched their investigations. Whatever, he'll be fired in February 2020. He was charged with a number of crimes such as money laundering, identity theft, and wire fraud. But for prosecutors in November of 2020, a judge sentenced him to 9 years in prison. It's a wild story, and the Bloomberg report containing even more details, such as Voldemir being the sole person responsible for her global fluctuation in the price of Xbox gift cards on reseller markets at one point. Wow, that's so crazy. Damn. Just to think about it, it's like if this guy kind of would have stayed small, if he would have just taken a little bit. I don't have a fucking criminal mind, but my mind goes there obviously. Would they have ever found him? Because they barely found him after he stole 10 million from these people. 10 million. I mean, he's going to prison for 9 years, but that's just crazy. And his name is fucking crazy, but yeah. So Microsoft loses out on 10 million there. Shame on people who are responsible. Shame on the loss prevention people. Shame on them. I don't know if Microsoft has loss prevention for stuff like that, but loss prevention, they weren't doing their jobs. But yeah, so controversy this week. Thankfully, they're all gone. I was kind of looking at the topics, and I'm like, damn, we have like a lot of controversies to fucking talk about. And it's just like, it's gonna be an uncomfortable week, but oh well. So thanks for being in with me, guys. About a little bit more about more gaming and stuff. So this weekend, I couldn't play much. But a new game I've been playing. It's not new, but it's a game that I started months back, and I was just like, and I started playing it again. I believe on when was it? Thursday, right after the show, like the shit show on Thursday, and I started playing it. The Outer Worlds on Game Pass. I was like, man, this is my fucking, an RPG game that is set in future things. It's so freaking fun. And I can't wait for the second Outer Worlds 2 to come out. I'm still not done with the game. I'm about, I want to say, a couple hours in, like probably 7 hours in, 8 hours in. The game's not that long, but I'm going to go ahead and play the expansions as well. I've been hearing good things about them as well. And it's just one of those things that, you just kind of miss. It's one of those great game minutes whenever it initially comes out, and you come back to it, and this is the value you get with Game Pass. I probably never would have played this game for Game Pass. and I'm loving it right now. It's a Fallout in space, is how I would describe it. And it's really really fun. Obviously you look at the game and it draws a lot of inspiration from Fallout, and it's a game I'm loving right now. So if you haven't played it, if you're on the fence about it, if you haven't played it and you're looking for something to play, go play it. It's on Game Pass. I don't know if the expansions are on there. I'm guessing the expansions you have to buy it by themselves, but that's something I have to look into. But it's a fun game, great game. A game 100% I'll recommend. Fucking fun. Probably got an email or something. Yeah. So if you haven't played Outer Worlds, go play it. I still haven't finished Yakuza Like Dragon. That's a game I'll still have to go back and play again. It's just like I was telling you guys, it's just a grinding game that I'm at right now, a grinding part of the game, and that really turned me off. So maybe I'll play some of that a little bit more today. We'll see. And so some more gaming links. EA is bringing back Dead Space, and I first saw this because Dead Space is Twitter updated their profile picture on their picture on Twitter, and from there, people. This has been a game people have been, clamoring for ever since I feel Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out. People love that game. I a little bit of it. I'll wait. I don't want to spend my money on a game like that. So if it comes to Game Pass, I'll play Mass Effect. But yeah, so EA is bringing back Dead Space, and the rumor is the people who might be this isn't. No, never mind. That's something else. I was thinking of Silent Hill. Yeah. So I'm not sure if they're gonna give it the Mass Effect treatment. Just remaster it, or if they're gonna come out with a new. They're gonna remake it, or what are they gonna do? And for me, I would much rather see them possibly, for a game like this, go ahead and remake it. Remasters are great, they're fun, but honestly, I like to see games that are older like this getting remade, a remake of them, and we'll see what they do. But whatever they do, it's a lot of people are gonna love it. A lot of people are gonna come out and buy it because this is a huge franchise. This is a huge franchise in the 360 era, and EA kind of playing the hits right now. They're going back to the well. They've struck out on a couple of new IPs like Anthem, and they're just this mixing money on these older IPs, these older games that were fantastically made. So I don't know if you guys can hear my dog. She's snoring. Yeah. But yeah. So EA bringing back Dead Space. We'll see what they do with it. I don't trust EA with a whole lot of stuff. I'm not my favorite studio, least favorite studios, but least favorite gaming places. But we'll see what happens with them. And yeah. Another big topic, kind of. There wasn't a lot of game stuff going on. Fuck, it's hot. xCloud. People, that's kind of been the rave right now. Is xCloud, and because I don't even know what the fuck it is, honestly. I know what it is. I have it on my phone. I have it on my tablet. I played it. I tried it out. Not my kind of thing. I'm not a handheld gamer. I would much rather just sit in front of my TV, with all my nice graphics, with my Xbox, and just play that. That's just how I would rather do it. I'm not out and about for too long where I have to I need to play games right now. I can wait till I get home. I tried playing Yakuza Like a Dragon on it not too long ago, and it was so buggy. Like, it was just not buggy, but it was taking forever to catch up. It wasn't a fun experience for me. It was cool to be like, look, I could play, Xbox games on my phone. I could play Xbox on my tablet, but they weren't fun to play. That's not how I would play them. But if you're a person who, you don't want to make that initial investment of $500 or $300 for a system, you can just get Game Pass and, go play it on the app or the web browser. But yeah, so it's cool for people who like this kind of stuff. I'm not the person who you asked me about this. I'm gonna give my opinion on it, but I'll also give, it's cool if you don't want to go ahead console. It's cool if you want to save some money and you just want to play those Xbox games. If you don't mind playing like this, go ahead, go for it. But it's not for me. But it's cool that Mike has kind of things to bring in a bunch of people and to make the um to make the to welcome as many people to their platform as they possibly can. So shout out to them for that. Another thing is, dang, you know what? I forgot that there's actually one more controversy, but I'll talk about that a little later. So first, next topic, first on IGN podcast, and I watched the interview, and goddamn, IGN sucks dick at doing interviews. It was so uncomfortable. It was so cringy. I'm like, what are you guys doing? What is this? You know, if I'm Phil Spencer, I'll be saying to myself, why am I going to go back to the show? You know, goddamn, these guys are horrible interviewers. Not saying I'm the greatest, or not saying I would know what the fuck I'm doing, but you know, at least I'll make you laugh. At least, you know, it was so cringy. It was like he was testifying in front of Congress, and it wasn't that interesting. You know, if you like IGN, go watch it. But it wasn't my cup of tea. The one big thing that kind of was asked was, and I thought it was kind of ridiculous for them to ask, but it was just like, do you feel the team 343 has pressure on them to deliver a great game with Halo this holiday season? Is Halo almost like they asked, is Halo's life on the line if it don't deliver? And Phil Spencer kind of like, I think he wanted to say, are you guys a bunch of idiots? What the fuck is wrong with you? Do you know Halo is one of the biggest game franchises out there? You know, people know who Master Chief is, you know, all across the board. You know, not too many people know who, you know, I'm not going to get into that, but it's just like, you know what, if they fail, you know, the game's still going to be around. The franchise is still going to be around 10 years from now. It's still going to be here. Because a lot of people like it. A lot of people love it. It's our Mario. Master Chief is our Mario. So if you can't picture a Nintendo world without Mario, you can't picture a Xbox world without Master Chief. He's always gonna be fucking be here. He's always gonna be going into sleep and say, "Wake me when you fucking need me." Come out and beat some ass, you know. And yeah, but if you want to go listen to it. But that's the only real thing that kind of came out of it, was kind of saying it's Master Chief is always going to be here. Halo's going to be here regardless of whatever happens. So yeah, go watch it if you want to. If not missing out on too much there. And another thing, Sony ponies petition to cancel Kojima's partnership with Xbox. And I'm like, why? You know, I'm not the biggest Kojima fan. I'm really not. And I don't know if it's because I wasn't privy enough to get games that were on the platforms he was releasing them to. You know, I've heard pretty negative things on that game. What was that walking simulator game? Space game. Escapes me. Death Stranding. People say it's really cool. One spot, and it's like, fuck this game. We're not playing it no more. But yeah, so we'll see. I don't even know what he's gonna do that's gonna excite me on Xbox. You know, I'm not a Kojima fanboy. I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, Kojima's coming out with something. We need to go play it. You know, I'm not like that. We'll see whatever he does. If it's a good game, yeah, great. If not, okay. You know, I've been kind of hearing that it's kind of a cloud-based game. Whatever that means. I'm guessing it's kind of a shorter game. A game that's not really going to be too long. A game that's going to be pretty simple. And yeah, so whatever. I think it deserves as much press as it's getting. You know, and people are going to probably kind of say, "What the fuck is wrong with you? It's Kojima, you motherfucker, you fucking idiot. You don't know the first thing about gaming." And I'm like, okay, well, how long did you play? Did you play Death Stranding? What was the last Kojima game you played that had you like, wow? I don't know, but yeah, I'm not saying he's a negative fucking, that he sucks balls in his job or anything like that, but just like, I feel like it's a little bit more with him, a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? You know, it's a little bit higher than whatever you actually get, I would say. And it's, fuck, if you want to argue with me, go ahead and do that, but I won't take that back. Yeah. Anyway, and so sometimes whenever I'm at work, I kind of moving on. Sometimes at work, I have these like questions I come up with that I'll just be like at work. Sometimes I'll be putting shit away, like thinking I'm like, and this time I was thinking like, all the games that got upgraded, whether it's 4K 60 ray tracing, upgraded to 120 frames, and I was kind of thinking about cool games that don't have that now, and kind of why don't they have it now? Because like a lot of these games that they're upgrading now are Bethesda-based games. Bethesda-based games, like your Turtles, the Fallout games, Elder Scroll games. And like, okay, they're doing those because they just got acquired, so that makes sense for Xbox to do those. And I'm like, what's a game or company that they may do that as well in the future, like in the future? Sony just came away with an acquisition of Marquee House. Marquee House, right? Yeah. Marquee House. And what they're going to do with Bluepoint. Bluepoint said that they're going to remain independent, and then there was that leak of Sony welcoming them to the. But who knows what's going to happen there? If they acquire them or not. And it's just like, oh, hey. So I was thinking, I'm like, which games like can fall to suit for a company? And I was thinking of Rise, Son of Rome. I'm like, that doesn't have that's not upgraded whatsoever. It's still a fantastic looking game. I played it the other day, and I'm just like, some games, I just put it up, see how they would look on the Xbox Series X, and that game still looks fantastic without any next gen upgrades. And I'm just like, wait, a studio that Microsoft has been rumored of possibly acquiring would be Crytek, and I would love if they do that because I really like the Crytek engine, and I also love the IP sub. Who knows how much they'll possibly get for that? But yeah, so I'm like, what? Yeah, Crytek. I'm like, and they could kind of do the same thing, Maybe that's why they haven't upgraded, Rise Son of Rome with next gen features, because they're waiting for. They've possibly already done, and they're just waiting for. Hey, we're gonna wait for to announce it, and then guess what? Once we announce it, we're gonna for next gen features for Rise Son of Rome. Oh, and guess what? We're working on a Rise Son of Rome 2. Yeah. How great would that be? Because that's a great game. That's a great game, and that's a game that you can kind of create, game after game. I would feel like the Rise of Rome, because Rome is so big, and yeah, it's a great game. Crytek did a great job making that game as well. So we'll see what happens. But that was my dream. I was just thinking like, wait, what if they do this? They do the Bethesda route with Crytek. Yeah, like that would be great. Crytek acquisition. You're gonna get Rise of Rome next gen features. Oh, and we're getting Rise Son of Rome 2. Tell me that doesn't get you hyped. Tell me that doesn't get you hyped. One last thing to talk about. An indie dev goes after PlayStation. I had an article. I fucking closed it. Guys, it's there. Let's see. I was looking at it last. Okay, so basically, this dev came out. I forgot what they said. Was it Ian? Some indie dev, and he said it without kind of ostracizing PlayStation. He said, I am completely like almost fed up with this one article. He said I'm fed up with holding my tongue and I'm fed up with burning bridges whenever there's not a bridge there. Not willing to bridge whenever there's not a bridge there, so I'm gonna go after it. And he said on some platforms it's very hard to get your game on to get your game noticed. And he said this platform doesn't have Game Pass on it, so that immediately rules out Xbox. And even if he didn't say that, it would be easy to say that it wouldn't be Xbox because of Xbox's great relationship with indies, and Game Pass is literally great indie games. And he basically said, whenever you work with this, he kind of called them Company X, and he said whenever you work with this team, whenever you work with this company, your game pretty much buried. You can't go and discount your game on that platform. On all the other platforms, on the other platform, you can go and do whatever you want with your game. On this platform, if you want your game there, you have to follow their rules. Okay. If you want them to advertise your game at all, push your game at all, it's going to cost you $25,000. And for a small team, indie team, that's just out of the question. And he kind of just he went on and on about it. And it's just like a lot of people were pretty positive that it was PlayStation. It definitely was them. And PlayStation is it's going down this. It kind of brings up the conversation of why PlayStation is doing this too. It's indie teams, it's indie titles, because these are the games that, even though they are on this platform, even though PlayStation is kind of linked more towards the big AAA games, blockbuster games, okay, but you also need that money from small teams as well to fill in the gap, because you want people playing everything on your platform, everything on your system. If I'm PlayStation, I don't want people playing everything on Xbox and just coming to PlayStation just to play our AAA games. I don't want that. I want them playing everything on my platform. I want them buying all games here so that we can get our 30% from that. And yeah, but it's just like I don't know. This kind of reminds me a little bit of how you're always gonna need those indie games. You're always gonna need them, and having them in your corner is very crucial. But I don't know. It seems like PlayStation is just doing a lot of things wrong so far this new generation, and I don't know. I'm very happy that I'm not one of these people who kind of overlook people's or company negative negatives about. I feel bad for these Sony guys who absolutely ride or die for PlayStation, and I'm not sure those guys on Xbox, but on this platform, I feel like it's much more my kind of crowd. In the sense that we're not gonna roll over and let you fucking fuck us in the ass and say thank you so much. Maybe we have some more. That's not the vibe I'm getting from this community over here. Well, on PlayStation, they're defending $70. They're PlayStation can do no wrong. Here we love Xbox. We do. Xbox does something stupid, we're gonna say, hey, that's really stupid. You can go fuck yourself. We're not gonna do that, okay? And they'll listen. And they'll be like, I'm sorry, and come up with some kind of fucked up excuse like they did raising the price for Xbox game Xbox. Yeah. Whenever they do shit like that. And whenever that happened, I'm like, okay, this community is a lot different from other communities. Nintendo, it's just like they never discount their games. They're almost full priced. And their games are pretty much the same. It's changed like costumes a little bit. It's stuff like that. It's just like you don't get as a consumer of anything, you have to value your dollar. very, very, very much value your dollar. And if you kind of want to value your dollar and you want to get the most out of your dollar, and I don't see how you can possibly do that whenever over here this platform says we're raising our prices to $70 because they're becoming more expensive. You know what my response would be for that? Well, go ahead and cut some money back because I'm not gonna. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. If that's how it's gonna be, I'll go somewhere else. Okay, I'm gonna go do other stuff with. I'm gonna go invest my money elsewhere because I don't feel like I'm getting the most out of my dollar whenever I'm gaming on your platform. Okay, now you can come over here on Xbox and say, "Oh, you don't have the best games. You guys' games all suck, dick." And okay, you may say that now, but here in the next future, couple years, it's gonna completely change the type. It's gonna be you get the most out of your fucking games here. You know, for 2.5 Sony games, 2.5 purchasing two and a half for the price of 2.5 Sony first party games, you can get Game Pass for a year, and you can get all these great games. You know, pretty much you retire playing these games, and yeah, it's just like here you get the stuff. It's not saying, oh, you get fucking cheap motherfuckers. That's why, no, you stupid fuck. What you get over there, you pretty much get here for less of the price. Okay, less of the price. How the fuck? I just don't get. I don't get that argument. Why are you sticking up for a billion-trillion-dollar company? Why are you sticking up for them? Why do you make them like they're a charity? Treat them as a charity. They're not a fucking charity. Okay, who gives a fuck? But if they make money, lose money, who gives a fuck? That shouldn't be our priority. That shouldn't be our priority. Okay, you have to look out. Number one, look out for your goddamn self. Okay. Well, that's my 2 cents on the whole thing. Yeah, kind of a down podcast, guys. I know. Thought it was gonna be more uplifting, but a lot of controversy, a lot of negative talk. I don't speak like that or have those kind of talks, but came up in the world, came up in the news, and I kind of talk a lot of that you're talking about. And in the show, we talk a lot about and like games. I mean everything. A lot from NFL side, and from gaming side as well. But kind of came up this week. But you know what? Those are the things that we have to talk about still. And so thanks for watching, you guys. Hopefully the sound sounds better. I finally got a microphone in, so thanks for staying with me. We're still growing, so if you go ahead and reach out and send me any you can reach me at the Mario Loya Show podcast on Twitter. Write in any questions you may have, any comments about the show, things you feel like we could possibly improve here. Go ahead and do that. Also, I'm possibly be going back to YouTube, so keep an eye out for that. And obviously, you can find the show on Spotify. We're now available on a lot of the Google side of things. I think we're available pretty much everywhere outside of Apple. Gotta figure out that, but yeah. So thank you guys for watching, and this has been the Mario Podcast, episode 4. Peace, guys. Thank you.